There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
Hey,
Hey!
season 10 is here.
Oh my gosh.
How excited are you for season 10 of The Curse of Oak Island?
Well, the season premiere, I think, was the best premiere we've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, it had a lot going on in it. It was a 2-hour long premiere, and we got a lot of setup for the season.
right.
And
But they also dove right into the work.
They did.
Even before, with Maddie, they were right at it.
Okay, well, but the Maddie thing was during the middle of the season. It wasn't officially part of the season of The Curse of Oak Island.
Yeah.
That was a Maddie Blake special.
That's true.
And as fun as that was, I don't really want to get into it because
No.
that's like spoilers for future stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the people are filing into the chat. We just want to say
Yay.
hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our season 10 premiere recap podcast.
Woo.
And we're doing it special this year for our friends in Canada
Woo, woo.
in solidarity because we live in the United States, but our friends in Canada don't get to see the episode until Sunday. And I always feel bad, and I think Deidre always feels bad too,
Right.
that they're always kind of behind, and we do the podcast, and if they watch the podcast, like all the people in the chat are right now, that's great for us, but it's kind of like spoilers for them. And I don't like spoilers myself. I'll be like, Deidre, don't tell me that. I do not want to hear anything about it. I want to be
I literally
spoil-free
don't
for
tell
things.
him things because he
Yeah.
doesn't want to know. And
Exactly.
at least if I see something. But it's so good to be back. It felt weird to say welcome back
Why?
because it feels like we would have just done that. I just haven't said it in a while.
Well, you kind of said it last week when we
I
did
did.
it. We did a special
Our
what was
pregame.
the pregame, the preseason pregame, like literally right before the season premiere.
Yeah.
We had a couple people from the island come hang out with
Yes.
us for like about an hour.
Yep.
And chat, and we hit them with the hard questions.
Well, yes. And they're very tight-lipped this year. Everybody that I talked to this year, they're very tight-lipped.
Yeah, so if you want to go find that on Facebook or YouTube, you can find us at Oak Island Podcast. And we had Steve Guptill, we had
Laird Niven.
and Scott Barlow on with us,
Mhm.
chatting all about Crazy Island in the
All
North
the
Atlantic.
island adventures.
So, but we are back. Thank you so much for everybody being here. Hello. We even see people over on the YouTube watching us live right now. So, hi. Hi, Barb. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Boki. Hi, Dana. Hi, Morgan. Hello, Susan.
Miss Jenny getting inky with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No,
I said
no.
Jenny. Oh, Anne Marie's here. Mary's here. Joseph's here. Oh, my gosh. All of our friends are here.
Yay!
What is up, Jeff? What is up, everybody? If we don't say your names, it's not because we don't love you. We do. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So do we want to get into it, or do we have anything else we need to say?
Do we do housekeeping at the end or now?
Well, I would like to say right now, so going forward, like I said, we're going to be doing our recaps on Monday.
Yes.
That's also when Oak Island Trivia is going to take place. If you haven't ever joined in for the Oak Island Trivia craziness, we invite you to do so. We have most of our listeners are on the podcast side, and they don't come and find us on Facebook or YouTube or any of those places, and that's fine. But we want to invite you to come and check it out because everybody has so much fun playing Oak Island Trivia, and all it requires of you is to watch the episode, come hang out, and try to check the boxes. You try to get the most right. We're going to have a leaderboard this season, and the winner is going to win a really fabulous prize. They're going to win a golden gnome, and they're going to be either they're going to get a title bestowed upon them, a Lord or Lady of Scotland. And this is no joke. So come find us, Facebook.com/Oak Island Podcast, YouTube.com/Oak Island Podcast, and you might be the lucky winner. Second place is going to get a silver gnome, and third place is going to get a bronze gnome. If you're watching live right now, right above my head, we have these gnomes. Yep. One of them will be painted silver, one of them will be painted gold, and one of them will be painted bronze, and they will be given to those 3 champions at the end of the season. So please come and check that out.
And those that win, so we're sticking with just like one winner per week.
Each week there's going to be one winner.
And you know what?
What?
I met a guy in a bar.
You did?
Yeah, in this bar called the Mug and Anchor.
Oh,
And
wait. People on the podcast don't know. Deidre went to Oak Island, or she went to Nova Scotia.
I was in the land of the Nova Scotia, and had a lovely time, met some wonderful people. Those of you that like to follow my photography, I got some really great shots. And like I said, I met a guy in a bar.
And?
One of that person.
That
I mean,
person.
actually, I met a few people in that bar.
You
but
did.
yeah, one of them signed some swag. Sir Gary of Drayton.
The Metal Detective Ninja, that guy,
Gary T. Drayton, and we're going to be using him for giveaways for the weekly. So we have a couple signed hats, we have signed bumper stickers, we have signed pictures, we have one of his books that he wrote that is signed by him. I'm trying to think of what else we got.
There's lots of stuff.
Great
so
guy. Can't wait to give away.
If you don't come hang out with us for Oak Island Trivia on Mondays, you're missing out. And I think we're going to do that at 3 p.m. Pacific, and that would be 6 p.m. Eastern. I know it's a little earlier than we usually do, but it's before our kids get home.
Yeah.
And so that's the way we're going to do it. Deidre usually works on Monday. She's rearranged her life so that we can be here for you.
Consistently.
Yes.
Tuesday nights, we still do pregame 1 hour ahead of the show.
That's right.
So we will be here tomorrow, 1 hour, right? Tomorrow's Tuesday?
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
1 hour ahead of the show to, get together, chat with you guys, get jazzed up for the next episode.
Yes. And who knows? We might have guests. We might have people hanging out with us. Who
knows what's going to happen?
Pregame it's just a free-for-all.
It is a free-for-all,
So.
and it's a good time.
All right.
Okay,
so
let's get into the episode.
Yeah, thanks for getting through all that with us. Let's chat about the season premiere of season 10 premiere of The Curse of Oak Island.
Right.
So they found the 90-foot stone in this episode. Oh, wait. No.
What?
It's a joke.
Oh, I was like, what just happened here?
No. So at the very end of the episode, it says this season on The Curse of Oak Island.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about the 90-foot stone, so I'm kind of bummed. I'm bummed about the whole
Maybe
season
it's already
now.
been found.
Maybe
Someone's using it as a paperweight in the lab.
Could be.
It could.
Yeah.
But
it be?
could it? It could.
Could it be?
It could be that we opened up with the classic scene.
The classic. We got Marty driving to Oak Island, and he's got some passengers.
And he's coming across the causeway, and we're like, here we go again, guys. But he seemed really excited.
So you just pulled up your imaginary steering wheel to the camera. So are you? Is there a song? If you're with those guys in the car, what song are you playing on the radio? Oh my gosh! Literally, when I saw you doing the drive thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like the Ice Cream Man song. And that's what went through my head, and literally, that's what you pulled out there. Good job. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he had all the people, right? Well, not all the people. The people.
No, then it would literally be a clown car, and it would be going. All right. No, we had Marty in the car. Rick was his front passenger.
Naturally.
Back seat was Alex, Jack, and Craig Tester.
Yep.
So the big guns heading to the island.
To the island.
Well, and they're driving over the causeway.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, they're excited about the season to start, as we all are, or as we all were. Right. What are you looking at?
I was looking at one of the replies. Jenny said that Deidre looked at you like you had lobsters coming out of your ears. I don't think that joke was successful, Dustin.
She's talking about the 90-foot stone thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It went straight over your head. And like, I literally just thought you could be like, what are you talking about, freak? But you just paused.
Oh, well, I paused because I was questioning myself. It was a long episode.
It was a long episode. All right. So the guys get to the island.
And
they join a very active war room. I wonder what they were doing before they walked in.
sitting around talking about when they're going to show up.
That probably. All right, so the war room happened, and what's going on in
As
the war room?
per tradition,
Yeah.
right? So walk in, hey guys, good to see you. He tells everybody they look old. Marty says they got to get it done.
Get it done.
Get her done.
Mm-hmm.
So they really seem to want to get to it right away.
Oh, hey, so in my notes, I wrote that during the drive-in,
Mm-hmm.
Marty was like trying to give a fist bump to Rick, and Rick just nails him. I'm just like, whoa, bro.
That's what big brothers do.
I guess so.
Right? Man. I mean, my brother would give me a dead leg or, all the things.
I guess. So, yeah. So that happened. And, yeah, so anyway, the 5 from the car, they did enter the war room. They came back with enthusiasm because literally they've detected gold in the water at the money pit.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to trace that gold back to its source and dig it up.
Dig, dig, dig.
Dig, dig, dig.
We got okay, so Doug goes on to explain the data set that got the gold traces from 20 to 50 boreholes. And we get a nice little...
No, they're going to expand.
Well, they're going to expand it.
To 50 boreholes.
But they also show on the screen, because, Spooner's, they're like a map. And we all know how I drool over maps.
Sure.
And, I mean, that was a lot. That, like, for me, the perspective was good. It was good.
Well, it's good because perspective should not be lost.
It should not be lost.
Yeah. All right, so Dr. Spooner is there, and he says that they're going to do this by figuring out how the water moves throughout the money pit. And he says he'll try to get down to a 25 or 20 by 20 foot box. And Marty says, find it, and they'll do the rest. So
yeah, I mean, a 20 by 20 foot, that's a decent size. And especially if you think about that shaft, the garden shaft is a 10 by 10 foot. So twice as much as that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like half a quarter of a tennis court or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sizable area. It can hold lots of treasure. You know what I'm saying?
And it's good to know where the money's moving to and from, right? Mm-hmm. Because we know this problem of the solution channel that we've had for a long time, and how it moves things, and if this is related to it or not.
Yep. So we're going to figure out which way all that water is moving. So that's key to this agenda this year. Rick says that there is the elephant in the room has to do with the Muon technology that they kind of deployed last year. Craig says that everything is in place and the data is recording, but they won't have that data for a couple of months. But it's coming, and it's coming like this season. So
I called it that we wouldn't have the data at the end of last year. Yeah. I would just like to say that. But I think I had to guess based on the aerial images. So you see, like, in the money pit, it looks like there's those concrete wells around. I think those are there to protect the Muon entry devices.
Possibly.
Because I don't remember how far apart they said they would need to be.
Don't remember that either. We'd have to go back and watch last year's Maddie Blake specials or whatever
they
they're talking about.
They said it recently, but anyways, even once you get all that data, like let's think about back to when we had Eagle Canada blowing up the island.
Yep. Boom.
You still have to process it.
Boom.
Goes the dynamite.
Boom, baby.
Boom, baby.
Yeah.
We get that next week.
Yep. All right, moving on. Marty says regarding his friend of the swamp. So they're close now.
They're friends now, apparently.
All right, they have spoken to Mi'kmaq leadership and the First Nations, and they believe that they have reached a cooperative agreement or a relationship, rather, and the restrictions are going to remain in place, but they are working on it.
Yeah, at least the buffer zone right from before would stay in place. But it's good to know that they're making progress and that there is a way to move forward and they can do more stuff, which is probably why they're so excited coming into this year. How disheartening was it at the end of last year? Yeah,
but they're stoked.
Oh,
you can tell that they have some different plans this year, and that's exciting.
So we get the flashback from last season's swamp issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Rick goes on to say there's still some story there to be understood concerning the swamp, right?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know if the treasure's there. I guess we don't even know if it's in the money pit, technically.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. So they kind of didn't really do anything else in the swamp. Like they talked about the swamp, but then this episode focuses mainly on new technology, the money pit, and swamp's like we'll pick it up later.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So.
I'm just saying that stone, that paved area,
It's something. It's
1200s.
I know. Yeah.
There's
Crazy.
something there.
Crazy. Yep. All right. So we do get introduced to a new member of the team, and we welcome back an archaeologist Helen Sheldon, and new archaeologist to the team, Emma Culligan.
Yes, and Emma, and we're a big fan of Emma's.
We love Emma's because our daughter's name is Emma.
I know.
So welcome to the team, Emma.
Yeah.
Woo, woo.
I would like to say on this episode, like I think we got introduced to her really well. She came across very well spoken and able to really explain stuff well. I'm already a fan.
I wonder if she did any other TV because she seemed camera ready.
Oh, she seemed like she knew exactly. Oh, Scott's here to help us out.
Oh, what's up, dude?
Okay, let's see if I can even say her title.
Okay.
Her actual title is metallurgist. Oh my gosh. So
Wow.
She's so smart. She has a title I cannot pronounce.
Sweet. Well, we are excited that she's part of your team, Scott.
Right?
I don't know if you had anything to do with picking her, but good job.
Yeah. Well, he also says she's brilliant. And here's the other thing. I've reached out to her. Will you tell her I'm not too weird? And so we can maybe talk to her.
Okay, Scott has met you in person.
I know.
He knows exactly
That's why
how crazy
I
you are.
toned it back and said not too weird.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell her everything. But
if you guys want to hear about Deidre meeting Scott, go back to last week's Oak Island pregame, and there's a little bit of that in the chat.
And we're going to talk about it next week.
Oh, we are.
We're going to talk about it tomorrow, I think, on pregame.
Okay, so tune in tomorrow for pregame, Tuesday. What is it? 5:00 p.m. Yeah,
right.
Be here.
It is 5:00. Right?
Be at Facebook or YouTube or be square. All right.
Or P square.
Deidre I'm definitely square. I'm the squarest of square.
Oh my gosh, he is such a square.
Yeah.
He's lame.
All right, so we have Emma. Laird says that Emma will be running the equipment this year. So they basically transformed the interpretive center into some kind of new lab.
Into a mad scientist lab. There's so much stuff in there.
Yeah, so that's where Emma is hanging out. That's the only place we've seen her so far, but she is in charge.
May not be allowed out.
Well, yeah, she's in charge of the CT scanner in the interpretive center
and all the other devices. They each got their own shot.
Yeah, they have a big XRF machine in there now too. So, all right, cool. So moving on, we have Marty. He says that he was surprised about what they had found in Portugal last year. And it was a real eye opener. And there was a flashback scene from that Portugal trip with our friend Corey and Mole.
Yes.
And Rick, Alex, Doug, and Peter. They all went.
And for Marty to say it was enlightening.
Well,
that's saying a lot.
And he didn't even get to go.
I know.
Skipping forward a little bit, he's going to get to go on a fun little adventure. I don't know if it's next week or how.
Yeah, I think actually the next time on, he's.
Well, there was no next time on. It was this season on the Curse of Oak Island. So
I thought it
could be any time. I don't know. But he's going to get to go on a field trip too. So that's exciting for Marty. All right. So Rick says that they have teams in France, Portugal, the Azores, Italy, London, and they all have done astoundingly great work to date. And he's referring to just researchers, people that have that are dedicated to the cause. So
it sounds like, and this is me assuming, but it sounds like they've got little pods of people across the world that are doing research for them over there. Now, this is my assumption, but I'm sure we'll hear more from them throughout the season. But that's a great way to do it. And clearly Gretchen is working with that team. So I always love to see Gretchen.
Yes,
she's a very nice lady.
Yeah, well, and I'm very
She's
like
very kind. I like
she's very kind. I love the Templar stuff. So more Gretchen, please. Yeah.
Gretchen.
Hey, do you see who's in the chat?
Jay Free.
906.
That's our other favorite podcast.
Sure.
Besides,
Yeah.
ours.
They are great.
The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond.
And beyond.
And beyond. So you should definitely check out their recaps that are right after it premieres.
Okay, so
Next
literally we do the opposite of what they do
Yes.
going forward. So Jay Free 906 and his crew over at the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond, they have a podcast it's a recap podcast, Curse of Oak Island, just like what we do. So if you want a different take or if you want something complimentary to us and
right after next day.
Yeah, the next day they go boom live, do some recapping. So go find them, check them out.
Yes. And then we do it right before.
Exactly.
We all have our thing.
Yeah. And Michelle Tomayer, what's up, Michelle? Michelle has like an auction going on right now. I just wanted to bring it up real quick because it was like, I think today or tomorrow is the end of it. So it might be over. But Michelle, tell if this is over or not. But she has like these books on eBay that are signed by the cast.
That she wrote.
Yeah, well, she illustrated and Cindy Bussey wrote them.
She illustrated.
Yeah, so they're in the what's the series called with the dog? I just forgot the name of the dog. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I thought it was part of this. I mean, because she did
or is it the
about
Halifax?
Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia. Oh, is
Sophia.
it Sophia? My bad.
Sellers, and
All
then
right.
there's Annie Goes to Oak Island.
Yeah,
Is that where Annie's the
Sophia,
dog.
and then but there was also the Pirates of Halifax.
Yes.
So anyway, go check that stuff out. Sorry about that. Let's move on. And yeah, we love our friends. All right. So Marty moves the conversation to lot 8 at this point.
Kind of a lucky lot.
All right. So Michelle says 23 hours left on the books on eBay. So go find them. I will try to post a link in our Facebook on our Facebook page. I happened to see it earlier today, and I just sorry I didn't have time to share it, but
and it says charity is Bio Girls. So
yeah, I looked into that, and that charity is like helping girls with self-esteem and stuff. So good stuff. All right. Sorry, back to the show. Yeah, lot 8 got a lot of discussion. Gary chimed in and said that we always need to go back to the areas where you found artifacts and coins, because you're going to find more and more.
Of course, especially as they start to rise to the surface, as roots start, pushing stuff up.
Yeah.
As a hurricane or something comes through.
Yeah. All right. And Craig thinks that they're going to have a very exciting year, and he's really looking forward to it. Marty ends the first war room meeting of the season with what? Marty
only wants to hear Bravo Tango.
And
he gets another hard high five from Rick. Rick is stoked.
Really hard high fives from
all his Dr. Peppers and is ready to go.
Yeah. So yeah. Paula in the chat.
Let's pause.
Paula's asking real quick if we have trivia tomorrow. We don't. We're going to do it on Mondays going forward, and it's going to be next Monday. And it's going to be every other week. So I didn't mention that earlier. All right.
We'll make a post with all the things. So make sure you follow our Facebook page. We do stuff in the group as well, but the page is public. Make sure you hit to get the notifications when we're live. I know some people are missing their notifications.
Yep. Check it out. Make sure
you're check it out. Bravo Tango. I wanted to mention. Okay, can we just clear this up nice and early? What does Bravo Tango mean?
It means something. It's something to do with the military. I don't remember what. Just kidding.
Lobsters, ears, like.
I'm just kidding.
Bravo Tango, BT.
Yeah, buried treasure, yo.
Buried treasure.
Marty wants to hear the call for successful finding of buried treasure.
Exactly.
That is what he wants.
Apparently, that was a question floating out there.
Our friend Jackie says target is acquired.
That's
Bravo
right.
Tango, buried treasure.
Target acquired.
Roger.
All the above.
Yeah.
So it's there. We don't have to address it again.
There you go. All right. So I'm pretty sure we talked about that last year, but
it doesn't matter. Top of the season.
Yep. All right. So the Money Pit.
Yeah, that's where they head next. And who's there?
So much activity at the Money Pit this extra long episode. All right. Terry Matheson, the Terry Meister.
The sir of many one-liners and usually comedic golds like "Hello, Dolly."
We did get a bingo in this
We did get a
episode.
bingo.
So yeah, Terry's up there doing his work. So he's leading the charge
Mhm.
with Charles Barkhouse.
Yes.
But we have borehole K-15.5. What do you think about that borehole name?
You know what?
Does it hurt-
It's fine.
Does it hurt you?
Because you know what? We get a full shot of the Money Pit grid. And Dustin heard me when this was live, right? And they're showing it and they're pulling out, and the grid has quadrupled in size, right? So it's like, then you have line AA and whatever. As I'm looking up at some of those boreholes they indicated, I actually don't understand how they named it.
Well,
So I can let this one go because I understand some of this other stuff is wackadoo.
literally, you had Steve like his attention last week. You could have asked him any question you wanted. You failed.
No, because we hadn't seen the episode yet.
Yeah, but you should have asked like, hey, what's the process of naming boreholes going up?
No, like these ones. Oh my gosh, I have to find one of them because there's a tangent coming, my friends. Where are you? I almost lost my mind.
What is this about? Scott Barlow says Terry just sent an email saying he was going on tour opening for Billy Joel, so he's unavailable.
What?
Hey, look
What
up.
are you talking
Look up.
about?
It says gullible on the ceiling. Do you see that?
Oh, I didn't. I was looking
No.
at your notes.
No, in the chat.
Oh my gosh, Scott, you're the best.
Oh my gosh.
Terry just sent an email saying he was going on tour opening for Billy Joel. So he's, oh my God. What
Wait.
is wrong with you?
No, Scott said he really did send that email. Okay. All right. Well, good for him, I guess. Well
Good
done.
for him.
Good luck, Terry Matheson opening up. Is he going to do comedy or is he going to sing? That's what I really want to know.
I don't know. I mean, rumor has it he might be the karaoke guy.
Boki says Billy Joel is actually opening for Terry.
That actually makes way more sense. That tracks. Good call, Brookie.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to this. All right. We do have the Money Pit and Deidre's crazy grid obsession.
I am gonna. Yeah, never mind.
She'll
I'll
figure
go
it
on a
out.
tangent next week.
She'll figure it out. It's all good.
I doubt
all right.
it.
So along with Charles and Terry, we had Paul, Doug, and Craig Tester, and Rick and Marty do arrive to see what's going on. Marty asked Terry if they found any doubloons yet. Terry laughed and says someday soon. So fingers crossed on that one.
No doubloons yet.
So Choice Sonic Drilling's back,
Mm-hmm.
and are they better than ever?
I would assume so. They're probably well rested from last year.
I don't know about that. I have a bone to pick.
I knew this was coming.
Like, we're not there yet. I do have it written down in my notes, but I'm just going to do it now
Just
because
do it.
we're talking about Choice. All right. I'm actually happy that Choice is like, there's some like Mike Tedford.
Mm-hmm.
He's like more present. And
Right,
there was a lot more conversation going back and forth.
Explaining.
And that's good because it's helpful for us as viewers.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like what Rock has done for us in the past when they're explaining to people.
Yeah. But then we had this Connor guy that's like, I'm just going to, no disrespect to Connor. I don't know
Sounds
who he
like
is
you're
or what he
throwing
is.
shade.
But I'm just gonna call him Mike's lackey. Okay, sorry, Connor, but he's like, he's what Adam was last season.
Yeah.
He's the guy that brings the
helps.
casings,
Yep.
the choice sausage from the work site to the other work site, which is the operating table, right?
Yes.
Okay, so literally we have him. He's excited about one of these bags he pulls and
a
throws
little
up on
too
the table.
excited. I will agree.
He puts it on the table and he's like, well, forget you guys. I'm just gonna cut this open and like start
I want to
dissecting it
see what
myself.
this is.
And I'm like, what the heck you doing, kid? Like,
He's lucky they didn't cut him with that.
well, I think Charles is too nice for that because Charles was the one there.
Charles must be.
But I was thinking, dude, Charles, you're letting this get it's getting out of hand.
What if it was full of doubloons?
I know. And what if you need to like, okay, Charles is very careful.
Yeah.
If anything, he's careful, and sometimes he's like, I'm not even going to touch this until Rick gets here. That's how careful he is sometimes. You know? And like, this guy's taking this out of the bag and like flipping it around and holding it. It's like, dude, well, what if we needed to know the exact position this thing was in?
What if
we
he sliced open Shakespeare's manuscript?
Yeah, and what if we needed to know like what this was butted up against? I'm just like, bro, I hope you calm down. I hope someone had a talk with you because that that in the past, that isn't the way that things were done on Oak Island.
But they may have asked him to ahead of time, and we didn't see that.
I hope that's the case.
I hope that's the case.
I
But
hope that's the case.
I did feel the same. I was sticking up for, what was his name?
Connor.
Connor. And I don't know.
I don't know.
We have questions. We ask the hard-hitting questions here.
I'm just saying. Yeah. Don't know. So just wanted to throw that out there though, because that had me irked. I don't get irked by a lot. I usually just go through the show and enjoy it all.
That's usually my
thing. I'm just thinking, wow, this guy's bold.
Bold.
Maybe they need bold. Maybe they need bold. But I'm just thinking a little too much. All right.
Did you say, okay, calm down?
And then I told myself, okay, I need to calm down. So anyway, Choice is back, and we like at least Mike Tedford way more present and available with information, and I appreciated that. All right, Rick says that he is thankful for everybody's pursuit of trying to get answers out here, and as because we come back to the Money Pit over and over in this episode.
Yeah, always gotta check in on Terry.
Yeah, as they're leaving, Rick and Marty they tell Terry, let us know if something bizarre happens. I wonder if when what's his name Connor cut open that bag, if Charles is like, I need to get Rick and Marty on the phone because that's bizarre.
How bizarre.
That doesn't happen every day. Anyway, Connor was throughout the whole episode, so if he did something he wasn't supposed to do, they didn't fire him. So
no, that's
good on them for at least giving him a shot. I don't know.
They should give me a shot. I'm trying.
She tried a couple months ago too.
I'm still trying.
Yep. All right. So just before the scene changed, like moving away from the Money Pit, we did have Steve and Dr. Spooner. We saw them getting some water samples out of the Money Pit. So that was making some progress. So
yay, progress.
All right. We move on to Lot 8.
Yeah, it's like the money lot. It was a giver of weird this time.
Weird.
Odd.
Yeah, it gave some items that I was very descriptive of.
Yeah, you and my brother discussed it very publicly on Facebook.
Yeah. So your friend,
yes,
not mine, but your friend.
No, my friend,
Gary Drayton.
Gary T. Drayton.
Gary T. Drayton.
Get it right. Guaranteed.
And my friend Marty.
Yes,
we're birthday buddies.
We have
the same birthday. So my friend and yours.
Okay.
Out there on Lot 8 together.
Got it.
Doing some metal detecting.
Yes.
Finding some artifacts.
They
go beep, beep, beep. They go like, okay, now we got to dig. That's
what we like to do.
That's what they like to do. And the first thing that they find is the classic
ox shoe.
Which
is important because we're trying to establish where these oxen consistently went, right?
Yes.
We want to know their paths.
Yes.
And it's near where they're. So last year we ended with that depression in the ground that was like a square.
Yeah.
Right. And they show us the flashback of the tree that's got the big bend in it. I still think it's a marker.
Oh, duh.
Just like what I say. I said, did they find block and tackle nearby? Because I still think that block and tackle was made to create a marker.
Could be.
Anyhow. So that's an area of activity because they had found it was almost like paved. There was a bunch of stones.
Sure.
So maybe oxen were walking on a path that was there.
Could be. Yeah, they did a bunch of digging, like deep, with the excavator there, and like Marty was the one digging, right?
Yeah.
And Scott was there, I believe, digging.
I think like everybody was there watching.
Well, they were all watching, but I think Scott and Marty were the actual diggers.
Yeah.
But then they're like, "Wow, this looks like it could be like another paved area, another kind of like some kind of pathway or something."
Yes.
Because we had all those stacked rocks.
And then the ox shoe shows activity.
It does, but while they're doing this, Marty looks over and says, "I really like that tree." Did you notice that?
No,
because it was like a different tree though. It was like one that was like almost looked like it was getting up out of the ground to walk away. Like its roots were.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, that's the tree you're talking about. Gotcha. Yeah, that is a weird looking tree.
Because I was saying, I don't know how old a tree is looking at it. I mean, it looks smaller than some of the other ones, but they're all going to grow at different rates. But it feels like an indicator. They can be trained this way.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Hey, Jim Barlow over on YouTube says
Jim.
that he thinks that area is a key, and he called you out. He said Deidre. And
You know what, Jim? I agree.
is that maybe Scott's cousin?
Oh,
What's up,
no.
Scott's cousin?
Hey.
We're just gonna
Are you
make that there. Yeah.
You know.
All right. So anyway, metal detecting, Ox shoe, bam. They do metal detecting again. And should I read what I wrote in my notes?
I want to know. You know, I'm curious what every other person's like first impression. I mean, the look on Gary and Marty's faces.
Said it all.
They didn't actually need to say anything.
Yeah. So in my notes, I'm just gonna say it.
Okay.
All right. So I said Gary pulls out of the ground what looks like to be a big turd. Sorry.
This looks. I even thought I was like, this looks like a giant petrified piece of poop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but with metal in it.
Yeah. And Deidre said that she made Gary aware of what I thought it looked like, and he thought
it was pretty
he
funny.
thought that was pretty funny.
But I felt so he pulls. He's like, sure, it's a handle, like a gun handle. And he's pulling it out, and I just like the sheer disappointment on his and Marty's face, and he's like, I'm holding a turd.
No.
Like that's probably what he was thinking.
No, but then they got their mind out of the gutter and they're like, oh, it could be a pistol.
They were trying to do anything to keep it together instead of saying, you know what this looks like.
No, they had to just say something that was like more family friendly. Even though this is a family friendly podcast, but
we could say the things.
Yeah.
And Marty's like, are you sure that's it? And he like puts the little metal detector.
He's like,
it's like, yep, that's definitely
it.
But like it can be encrusted, right?
Yep. And that's what it ends up being. And they're like, you know, we're gonna put this to the side for now. We'll come back to this later. But good find, Gary. Good find, Marty.
I can't help
No, don't put that on the screen.
Oh, yes. It's Templar, baby. A Templar turd.
Wow, I've never heard Deidre say the word turd so much.
Because I don't talk like that.
I do.
But it was a moment, and we couldn't not talk about.
I'm just gonna say this, like that word, turd, is it was a very prominent and present word growing up in the 80s and the 90s. So that's my excuse for using it so much. I know you're a lady and you didn't do it as much as me, but there we are.
Boki calls it a bottom pocket sign.
Okay, Boki. That's
win.
That's a great comment. Thanks
I will be sending that. Okay, now that's done.
Oh man, that was good stuff. All right, let's go back to the show.
Gosh.
Okay. All right.
We are talking about the show. We have been.
Gary said that I was a great candidate for a CT scan because that's the way he wanted to put it nicely, and in actuality, it was.
Yes.
So that's it.
It went for a CT scan, and it didn't turn out to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, then we go back to the money pit.
Unless a Templar ate it.
I mean, it could have. No,
not really, based off of what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, and we go back to the money pit now that we're done on lot 8 for now.
All right, let's get our minds out of the gutter. All right, so back to the money pit. Okay. We got Charles supervising the continued progress at borehole K15.5.
Uh-huh.
And this is what I was talking about here. So Wood comes up at they pull out 2 sections from basically 103 and a half feet to 111 feet. They put those on the operating table. Mike Tedford and his underling Colton.
Underling. You got to find something nicer to say. I think you were bitter about him when
I was. Okay, how about his assistant, Colton? They were smiling when they brought over this sample over to the table. And then I have in my notes, Colton immediately grabs a knife to open the casing without asking. You already heard that part. Then they find what is part of a beam, they believe. Charles calls Rick to come over and take a look. Terry, Paul, and Scott joined Rick and Charles. Mike Tedford then explains what is happened. when they retrieved the wood and they were looking at it, and it explains that he explained that there's a void between the two casings, and this got everybody excited.
Exactly. So
Oh,
that's a good question.
it is Colton. My bad.
It is.
Yeah.
So we were
My
ranting on a Connor. So someone that doesn't exist
bad.
is who you have a problem with.
He's my imaginary friend. Leave him alone.
You're the one that was throwing him under the bus.
Well, I'm going to throw Colton under the bus now. Okay, you want to talk about Colton? Let's talk about Colton. He shouldn't have cut that open without permission. He just jumped in there, and it wasn't his place. And he's a new guy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just going to show what I'm worth. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to find this." No, dude, your job is to put it on the table and let the experts do what they do.
Okay.
Right,
And the chat is telling me about the explanation of how the chart works with the letters. Like, I get how you would traditionally label it with the double A and all that, but there was some that were so wackadoo that didn't make sense, even based off of that. But I
Yeah.
appreciate everybody helping me, but I will make a list of ones I have a problem with, and then maybe they can tell me.
Scott says that Colton is not a new guy. He's been there from the start.
I was
Well,
gonna say, I remember Colton.
I don't recall him, and I just saw him getting into stuff that he probably shouldn't have been getting into.
So
Just saying.
Dustin doesn't remember Colton until he did something wrong, which is usually what happens. That's why you get all like people who give bad reviews, but not good ones.
But you know what? I'm gonna blow your mind with something I remembered later on. Okay,
Wow, you
and I'll
something?
even bring this up, but
Mhm.
it's later. It's at the end. So, all right. Thanks for all that information, peeps. All right,
We heart
let's
you.
move on. Yeah. So Scott, maybe you know what, Scott. Just what happened next? You tell me. Why don't, you're in the
I
chat? So
didn't even watch the episode.
oh, okay. Well, he tells Rick that there's a good chance that this structure is an open tunnel, possibly 5 feet in height.
See, and that's why they should have hired me.
Why? Because you're
I'm
Deidre-
just over 5 feet tall.
Deidre is just about 5 feet in
I
height.
feel like that would be coming in quite handy.
Yeah. So Scott's what, 6 feet tall?
I don't know.
That's really hunching over there. You don't
Yeah,
want to do
like
that.
I could have saved your back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Scott also asked to take a good look at the wood to see what kind of tool cut it. And Terry notes that it looks like it was cut by an adze.
Not an
cut
axe.
wood.
We have a lot more ads cutting nowadays.
Yeah. Rick says that this wood is a prime candidate for C14 testing, which they do,
Mhm.
and they get the results at the end of the episode. So we have that to look forward to.
Yes.
Scott also noted that a tunnel this far back would probably connect directly with the money pit or something
Connected to the money
connected to the money
pit,
pit. There
which offset chamber or
you go.
which could be that. I genuinely don't think this is a flood tunnel. Like, you're not going to create a flood tunnel like that. Not the way it's cribbed or any, like, remember the finger drain made of stone?
Yeah, they used to be square, now they're triangles.
Yeah, because, that's how they roll.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
What about it?
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a flood tunnel because I've heard that talked about.
Yeah, Marty talked about it later on, so we'll get to it. All right, cool.
Sweet.
Terry says that K15.5 turned out to be a very interesting hole.
Thanks, Terry,
We agree.
for that commentary.
Hey, he's there to make our job easy.
He is.
All right. Sorry about that. Let's go to Oak Island Research Center, yo.
Here we come, Research Center.
And we have Carmen Leg in his house.
Woo, woo. We also saw his vet outside.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Is it a?
I feel
it's
like
a
Carmen's
stingray?
the man.
Is it a stingray?
I don't know that one is.
Scott might know. But yeah, so Carmen Leg is welcomed by Craig, Jack, and Rick and he's there for analysis of the artifact found by Gary and Marty on Lot 8. And I'm
The
thinking,
potential Templar poo.
he probably looks at it and says, "Guys, why did you pick this up?"
Guys, why are you showing me this? He's thinking, like, is this candid camera? Like, are you playing
like,
a
what?
prank on me? He's looking around for
Yeah.
people to jump out of nowhere.
But there's cameras everywhere.
I
They already
know.
had the cameras.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
All right, so after looking at the CT scan that was provided by Emma Culligan, the new archaeologist, that is awesome, apparently, according to Scott.
Awesome sauce.
Carmen says that the metal was originally a bunk hook that goes on the end of a chain, the type that would allow the chain to slide through the end of the hook, likely used to lift logs or other cargo.
I mean, it was pretty big, and it makes sense for hauling stuff. I thought they had found something like this before, but maybe on a smaller scale out of the money pit. I mean, I know we don't see everything that gets found, but I feel like a year or two ago we saw something like this. But it's an excellent find considering on lot 8 we have found like the brooch. Well, I say we, I've done none of that. They have found the brooch, which we had a flashback with Scott Clark, right? The potential Masonic breastplate. And wasn't the other, did we find 2 brooches? What was the other Bobby Dazzler?
Out of what? Out of lot 8?
Yeah. I thought all the gems and stuff came out of lot 8. Isn't that where the treasures just like scattered amok?
Well, don't I have it in the notes here? Maybe. No, I guess not. Oh yeah, I don't tend to do flashbacks in the notes. I sometimes refer to a flashback, but I don't do a lot of notes of that because we've been there. We've done that. We've seen that.
It would be interesting to date said hook. But it was really cool to also see the equipment.
Carmen gives us a date.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow, clearly I need
Carmen
to get it
says
together.
That this design came in vogue during the late 1500s. And that gets the team's attention.
Well, yeah, that's a wonderful date range.
Yeah, so Rick says that this piece needs to be conserved before it goes in the XRF machine. So that's a job for Kelly Barassa, if I ever had one.
Probably.
Yep. So they thank Carmen for his analysis, and that's the end of that segment.
Yep. But it was good to see Carmen right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely. But then we go back to the money pit.
The pit of money.
And this time it is they have their attention on a new borehole.
M16.25, which they were teasing on the like coming up this season, like earlier in the year. What is in the bottom of M16.25?
Oh, is that what that was about? And it's not dash 9.75?
No.
Or anything like that?
No.
Darn.
No, it wasn't.
I like the really crazy boreholes. This one's
because they make me
good,
crazy.
Though.
Hey, Scott, can you all name a borehole after me this next year? That's all I'm asking.
Why not us? Why not the D&D?
Because I'm
the D&D borehole.
Because that could literally be a place. And I don't think it'd be right.
Yeah, well, you are.
And I'm pretty cool.
You are cooler than me. This we know. I get it. I understand. It is what it is. All right. So at M16.25, we have Terry Matheson with Paul Troutman.
A lot of Paul.
I'm happy to see Paul. Well, like when the pandemic happened, he's from the United States, right? So he was kind of like stuck out a little bit. Really good to see him as a kind of a central figure in this season premiere. So, hi, Paul. Good to see you.
Great to see you. We still want to have you on the podcast. Scott was going to connect us. So if you hear this, please.
We have nothing but good things to say about you, Paul. We even made a cool superhero card out of you a while back.
Out of you.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. We based a cool superhero trading card.
That was one of my favorites.
All right. So they are there supervising the digging in the borehole of M16.25 and receive a choice sausage onto the table from a depth of about 89 feet to analyze.
Yep.
Rick is there, and he says that he hopes that they can get a camera down into the borehole if they find a void. Because, that.
Well, and for them to be able to, like, stop at the depth in which the void was, right? Because when you go right past it, you can't really.
Yeah, so this is all chronologically, so we're, like, getting to that void, and the anticipation is building. And Paul and Terry they're like stoked, but then they get somewhere, and Terry goes, "Bingo!" Hello,
Terry's
Dolly.
just a gold mine in himself at that money pit table.
Heck yeah. So Mike and Colton from Choice tell
Your
Terry
best friend.
that they got to a depth of 103 feet, and they're basically hanging into a void at this point. Terry's super excited, and he makes the decision to call in Rick to get him over there. And Rick then shows up and says they need to exploit this opportunity. And Paul says he'll get a camera rigged up to take a look, and that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't know if Paul's like an expert in this camera situation, but he sure seemed to be.
He's a techie guy. Do you remember when he?
No.
So what was it? Maybe was it last? No, it was like 3 years ago or something. But in the research center, he had. Oh gosh, I don't remember the name of the machine, but he was in charge of one of the machines that did some doohickey.
He wasn't Emma.
He did some doohickey that did something.
Interesting.
Yes.
Either way, he was the one that was explaining things.
It was parts per million of water samples for something.
That's right.
Do you remember
That Jack came in, and didn't that have to do with like the red dye? That was several years ago.
It was a red dye. Yeah. See, I'm just saying that he's a techie guy.
Mhm.
You know, he's up with the latest of the.
Well, we were told he's a walking genius.
We were told
so.
Yeah. And yeah.
You know what I really liked?
What?
The duct taping of a flashlight on the camera to go down.
That was what
I bet you it was like Gorilla Tape though, because that holds up better underwater.
Yep. So that was Scott.
Good job, Scott.
Taping up that thing. So
Resourceful.
Steve and Scott joined that party, and they rigged up the camera. They began lowering it down to the depth of 103 feet. The camera entered the tunnel.
Bum, bum, bum.
And they're able to make out broken pieces of timber on their display.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, well, that was pretty sweet to see. And they're excitingly looking at the display, and they see what could be, like, I think Scott called it out, and he said, it looked like some kind of bolt or metal or like some kind of fastener.
Oh, yeah, where you could see like the circle.
Yeah, but then Rick's like, or it could be a dowel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
dowel?
That's what Clotworthy ran with. Like, sorry,
yeah.
Scott, he didn't. He wasn't into what you were saying. He's like, oh, Rick says it's a dowel. That was a dowel.
Well, yeah, because a dowel sounds older, and
one of the trivia questions might be about that section of. So you might pay it
Extra
close attention.
it
to
was
that.
super.
I already wrote all the trivia questions, by the way.
I know. I'm very
Yeah.
impressed.
So
You gotta figure out the
that's for next
leaderboard.
Monday. At the end of this, if I remember, I'm gonna read one, and so people that listen to the podcast, they get a leg up on everybody else. How about that?
Okay.
At the end, we're gonna read one trivia question.
I don't know what the
Be here
question
for it.
is, so he will.
No, and it's actually gonna be random. Like it's gonna be what you're gonna pick a number between 1 and 20, and I'm gonna read that question because it's 20 questions. There you go.
Cool.
All right, let's get back to this. Yes, they see what could be a dowel. Rick speculates at how the broken pieces of wood and how they kind of would have maybe originally fit together.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just doing their stuff. Paul says, "Hey, we need to get this video over to ProHawk. They could clean it up, get better resolution." And Rick says that they definitely need to initiate that process.
Oakley dokley.
Yep. The guys are satisfied with the progress made. They get up to leave, and we hear as the segment is ending, Marty needs to see this footage.
Of course he
And
does.
so I'm sure that's immediately what happened next.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it looks like they maybe waited to show Marty because they have another war room. Gosh, man, they have like 15 war rooms in this episode. Wasn't that insane?
I hear they have a lot of meetings on that island,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm feeling it.
You are, huh?
I love me a war room though.
Yes. Well, that's where we get a lot of the down and dirty details.
The down and dirty detail. Well, are we hopping to the war room?
Heck yeah, we are.
Because right before I cut out, Paul recommends sending the video to ProHawk to clean up the footage, and it kind of reminded me. So like what I'll use with it's called Topaz Labs. Like they have an AI technology to help clean up images, and they do have a video one too for when you've got like motion blur or high static. There's a way to stack images so that you can clear it up, and it was impressive.
Yeah. Well, you just said might as well have been a different language I didn't understand. But what ProHawk did, because we just saw the results,
Mm-hmm.
makes all like if that's what you're
It
talking
speaks
about.
for itself. Yes.
I enjoyed what the process was because it made those nice images. Yay.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
Yeah. All right. So at the war room, we had Rick, Craig, Steve, Jack, Doug, Scott, and Dr. Spooner. They were talking via teleconference or video conference with Marty.
Yes.
Rick says that this is one of the most exciting days that they've had on Oak Island. And he doesn't want to count in how many years because, it's too painful, I think. But there's too many to count but this will be the first time they are looking at high resolution images from inside a man-made structure at depth in the money pit. And that's exciting.
Well, and usually something goes wrong, right? Because it's
Oh.
notorious for technology
Yeah,
on the island to fail,
why didn't-
especially with video.
Why didn't the video give out?
Paul told it not to. And
Paul.
apparently that was the key.
Paul cast a backwards voodoo curse on it that made it work.
Who's food curse? A duvu.
So, they show the video that
It was the duct tape.
Thank you, Scott Barlow.
Thank you, Scott Barlow,
You
for
are
the
our,
win. Duct
you are
tape.
our only hope, and you
Help us, Scott. You're our only hope.
he worked it out for us. All right. So they show Marty the ProHawk enhanced footage, right? And Doug asks at this point, "Is this a searcher tunnel or is the original works?" That's the question of the hour.
Test the wood.
Well, Craig, they will get to that. Craig says that maybe it'll lead to the money pit, and maybe it can help them determine where to go from here. So,
Where to GoPro from here?
yeah. Scott, he has a recommendation.
Man, Scott's all over the place.
He's very present in this episode.
Almost as present. Well, about as present as Paul.
And he recommends, you know what? He is this like like everybody should have thought of this, or is it just like Scott is like, hey,
Well, Scott's a smart guy. Okay.
Okay.
I got the opportunity to really get to know Scott when I was in Nova Scotia.
Hmm.
He's a smart guy. Probably because me and Scott think a lot alike.
he's smart or he's mean? You told me he was mean.
I didn't tell you he was mean.
He like made you eat this like
Oh, yeah. Just because
Snot-
I like to pick on him.
snot in a shell.
I had to get initiated, and I was.
Yeah, but he also like stuck you on a piece of like
Oh, no.
floating what was it,
He
timber or
volunteered-
something, and
Timber.
you were like you're like almost falling. You fell in the ocean a couple times because of this guy.
I did, but I had a great. I said I've never done that, and I've always wanted to learn. He says there's no time like the present. So
That's
his lovely wife.
what
took
somebody
me
says.
out.
That's what somebody says when they don't know how to swim and they throw them into the river or into the lake or
Into
whatever.
the ocean.
Into the ocean. That's what happened to you.
I threw myself in, technically.
I'm glad you made it back. Okay,
Thanks.
your kids needed you.
Doug's wife took good footage of me like about to fall. It was quite hilarious.
Mm.
Mhm.
Anyway,
We'll share that.
I'm being mean.
He is being mean.
Scott made her eat like an oyster or something. It was an oyster.
I don't even know if
And
it
then
was an oyster
It
or
wasn't a piece
something.
of timber in the ocean. It was an actual paddleboard. It was fine.
Mhm.
All right. Sorry. Let's get back to the thing.
We got.
Keep
We're
getting
talking
distracted.
about Scott a lot. It's all his fault.
And you know what's funny? Like we're like, well, I don't know how long this episode will be. Maybe it'll be shorter. Yeah, we're already at an hour.
I already told you it wouldn't be.
That's the way. That's when we get going. We get going.
Yep.
All right. Where are we? Where were we?
ProHawk.
Oh, Scott recommended
Scott.
using sonar.
It seemed. Well, they're in an optimal place. They know exactly where to drop it down. Do a little bit of
They already,
echolocation.
yeah, and they already got like kind of like some visual.
Mhm.
And so this is just to collect more data, and collect more data they do. But we'll
Is
get
it
to
Rick
that.
that's like, oh yeah, that seems like why wouldn't we have done that?
Yeah, Jack recommends getting that wood carbon tested. So
Agreed, Jack.
Marty says he likes Jack's idea, and it's exciting to think that it could be original workings because it's previously unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Rick says that they can, if they can verify this.
If
Rick's-
they can verify it's original,
yeah,
they'll invest sufficient,
sufficient,
which is going to be significant, monies, time, and energy to follow the tunnel, and hopefully X marks the spot. If it's original, then it's the one thing.
That's what we need, baby.
He said we gotta, because you know how many times he said like it could be the one thing, but he is saying if it's original, this is the one thing.
It's the one thing, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So Marty seems satisfied with their progress and is hopeful since they found something new.
Mm-hmm.
So Marty's like, yay. Because he wasn't there. He was video conferenced in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back to the money pit, of course.
To the pit.
It's like, all right, we got to work. We got to get in here and do Scott's plan. Scott, let's set up the sonar.
Sonar.
So the team sets up the sonar equipment. Rick wants to know which way the tunnel is headed so that Steve, Mr. Guptill Guarantee, can project the path. The sonar records some data when it gets down there, and it's looking rectangular on the display.
Mm-hmm.
Paul thinks that it's beams since there is a uniform pattern to the spacing in them,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes sense.
Right.
Terry and Rick, they're not even like commenting at this point. They're just all smiles. They're just taking it in. They're like, yay, finally something
Yay.
cool down there that we get to like explore a little more.
Well, and something solid. You know, I mean that in many ways, but it's very concrete, solid data. It's still remotely intact.
Yeah. Well, okay. So do you remember, like basically last season,
Mm-hmm.
so Terry gets to kind of like do a lot of the exploratory stuff up until they get to the big cans coming in, right? But man, Terry, like he's just out there, plotting all these holes, digging them down. He's basically hanging out at the money pit all year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be good and really like satisfying to be like, let's just pop up this tent.
And this is early in the year.
And do some sonaring or do some other kind of explore on a spot that we know something's at. That's got to feel really satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, and I think when I was looking at some of the sonar imaging, there was like dates. It looked like it may have been in June or July from what I could see. So to be getting something like that so early has to feel really good. I mean, it feels like an early lead versus like a lot of times at the end of the year is when we're getting something really tantalizing and we're like, oh, well, we're out of time. We can't continue on. That is all.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, Susan.
I just saw her say hi. So for sure.
For shizzle.
Yeah. Scott notes that the tunnel looks like it has a bend in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they're basically like at an elbow, and they're in the center of it basically. So what luck is that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Terry. It was funny. Terry like pulls up his arm. He's like, yeah, you know, and he's pointing to his elbow. He's like,
he
we're
goes,
right about here.
We're approximately here. And I'm like, thanks, Terry. I know what an elbow is.
No, I loved it. I think that was great. That was funny.
So like he's like, my arm's a tunnel, and this part is narrowing down here. So we're here. Thanks, Terry. We can.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, and they mentioned how it like kind of tapers off a little bit at one end, but something I mentioned earlier in the week was that they happened to go down. Let's say that when they hit it, it kind of pseudo collapsed or whatever, like they broke through. Well, that bend could be showing, like it could have been a straight line and not an elbow. But when you have a partial collapse, like it's not going to collapse straight down on each other. It's going to kind of shift. And so it should be interesting to see once they actually get down there and projecting a straight line. Because I get a feeling it was intended to be straight. It's not like you're going to bob and weave around something down there. I don't know. Just my thought. I think the elbow was made to be a straight one.
Mm-hmm.
That is all.
Well, okay. I don't know about that.
You don't.
No.
You think it was an intentional turn.
It looks intentional to me, but I'm not like a tunnelologist or anything. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I'm not a tunnelologist either, just a speculator at large.
Yeah. So back to the sonar, what it was picking up, it was data in 15 feet in one direction, and it was like 20 feet in the other direction.
Yes.
The 15-foot direction, like they wonder if that was maybe a collapsed section of the tunnel.
Yes. which
could be,
is
'cause
would make sense.
And it looked a little funky compared to the rest. Like the other one did look more uniform. So
yeah, like the beams were still solid
yeah.
there.
And that's unfortunate because later on we find when like Steve maps it out that the part that's collapsed is the one that's headed more toward north toward the money pit.
But
so that's a bummer.
So we've done a lot of drilling in the money pit and have come up with pieces of wood. So it's going to be important to pull back all that data, which there should be a database that, Steve's got kept of all the drill holes and where they pulled out the wood and just little pieces here and there. Right. So then like, where am I going? I had a place I was going here. Oh, Eagle Canada.
Yes.
They did seismic all the way through there. I would love to be able to compare that data with what the money pit, like with what they just found with the sonar and see what kind of reads were coming back.
Scott's watching this and he's probably like, we're way ahead of you.
Yeah, he's like, we've already done it. They're done.
And he also says, a straight elbow. Interesting. Can you draw that for me?
No, I can demonstrate it.
There's still a bend.
No, there's not. Not when I straighten it.
Yeah.
It's perfectly straight.
All right. So Rick says they're going to need to wait until it's on the surveyor's plan before he projects it and go in one direction or another. But today is a very good day on Oak Island.
He was like, Steve has the skills to do this. He will put it on a survey map. And like, Steve's like, yeah, I'll go do that as soon as.
And then after that, he said, and let my people go.
I'll get my GPS.
Dieter thinks that Steve is related to Moses or something. I don't know.
He could part. If that was the case, he could have just stuck it down the hole and it like would have parted the waters in the
waters or
in the solution channel.
It'd be cooler if he could like just part the dirt. That's what we need at this point. Somebody to part the dirt.
Yeah, that's true.
Billy needs to get that power.
I mean, he has it technically.
All right, so we're moving.
Carry on.
We're moving to a different section of Oak Island.
Are we?
Lot 7.
Lot 7. Guess
not
what?
Lot 8.
It's right next to Lot 8, though.
Yeah, I wonder if it probably Gary and Marty probably just said, "Oh, let's go metal detect Lot 7 too," because we're out.
And they're like wanting to inch closer to Lot 5.
But it didn't happen that way because Jack is with Gary, not Marty. My bad. But Jack is with Gary, and they're excited to get to work to find more artifacts. Their first find, they did find something interesting.
A musket ball.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. I don't think they quite sounded like that.
Boom, boom. Boom, baby.
Boom, baby. I got to get that audio clip.
Yeah, so Gary calls it mid to late 1700s. So, I mean, it's in a good time thing, like period.
A range.
How about time period?
Time period.
Yeah, and it says it's definitely colonial. The second target, they're like beep beep beep, and like I could swear that it was like Steve was there for a second because they found what looked like a rock, and Steve is really good at finding rocks.
Super good at finding rocks.
But then like Steve wasn't there, and it was Gary and Jack who are good at finding things that aren't rocks.
That aren't rocks.
Yeah,
things that are metal.
Yeah, and so Gary picks it up, and he's like, "Oh." And it's like beep beep beep. Test the metal detector, the pinpointer on it, and oh no, this is metal. And
it was like square.
Yeah, rectangular, squarish. Yeah.
And he was pretty sure it was a coin.
Yes.
And we get to go see it a little bit further, but he was really excited about it. So to me, I said, well, it must be a bigger deal than just a little square piece of metal.
Must be. So they were excited about it, obviously. Gary says this could be something special. He says, it kind of looks like an old coin to him. I think he was like hesitant to say the C word, the coin, but he said we need to take this down to Emma and get it scanned by the CT. So that's eventually what they do.
Gary's seen a lot of coins, right? He's been metal detecting for a long time and all over the world, right? And he's pretty familiar with what coins are, but I believe him when he says it's probably a coin. But
hey, I didn't need to say something real quick. OG in the house.
Hey, Agnes, how you doing?
What's up?
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, and John's really chatty in the chat.
John.
I haven't been able to read what you're writing, John, but what's up, John? Good to see you. And Janet's here, Tom. We have so many cool people in the chat.
know.
Daniel's over here on YouTube. Just want to say hi to everybody. Thanks so much for being here and for chatting with us and hanging out. Yeah, so after lot 7, we go to the Oak Island
War Room.
again for
meeting.
War Room meeting 17 of this episode, or at least that's what it feels like. Yeah. Why Thursday?
Because meetings happen on Thursdays.
Do they? Okay.
Thursday's always a good day for a meeting.
Sure. So present in the War Room, we have Rick, Jack, Steve, Gary, Craig, Doug, Paul, Spooner, and Billy. They gave Scott this War Room meeting off. He was probably busy elsewhere. But this
He was too busy herding cats.
Yes. Marty was via teleconference again, or video conference.
Naturally.
So they did the review of the sonar data, which Scott should have been there for. He must have had something really important happening.
Yep.
Where he couldn't be there. Or maybe he was there and I just couldn't see him. Maybe
that's also possible.
Sometimes if he's
so full.
If he's in the Henske seat, sometimes it's hard to find him over there.
That's a good point. The Henske seat's kind of a secret seat.
It is. All right. So this is borehole data, sonar data from M16.25 and C14 data from borehole K15.5. Got it?
Yes.
Right.
And of course, Craig was very excited to share.
Yes. And then we had, did we say hi to Anne Marie? I want to make sure we say hi to Anne Marie.
Hi, Anne Marie.
She's tuning in from Germany.
Yeah. She's got to head out.
Oh, half the time she's from Germany, half the time she's from Nova Scotia.
That's true.
So, hi, Anne Marie. Thanks for being here. We love you. Bye-bye. All right.
Have a good night.
You're awesome. All right. So sonar first. Steve overlays the data compiled on his map of the money pit.
I love that.
This was, I'm sure this was Deidre's favorite part of the episode.
Oh, so many map screenshots.
Yeah. So the tunnel appears to, like when they overlay it, appears to be headed northwest, like just slightly west, but more north.
But that could have been due to the bend in the elbow.
It was the bend in the elbow that set it on that trajectory, but it's toward the money pit, and in between, it's between the C1 cluster and the garden shaft, which we hear a lot about in this episode. But it's closer to the garden shaft.
Isn't anywhere like pointed technically to the money pit if you're already in the money pit?
Yeah, because we don't know exactly where the money pit was either. But like. For all intents and purposes, I consider the C1 cluster, that's like the main money pit-ish area. And the garden shaft would not be money pit-ish area, like historically for watching the TV show. But maybe the garden shaft is closer to the money pit.
Remember what I kept saying last season?
You know what? Enlighten us.
Follow the women. We know where it's at.
And boom.
And where is it? Women's Memorial. What if they built this whole memorial around this shaft that is actually the money pit, and they've actually just been memorializing it this entire time?
Maybe
technically it's been protected from all the drilling. Maybe
that was Charles's plan all along.
Sneaky Charles. That's why he put C1 over there.
He's like, hey guys, come check this out. He moves them away from
the throws a shiny thing.
He's protecting it.
He is.
He always will. All right. So the tunnel appears to be headed that direction, but then we do get a flashback to 2017 of the exploration of the garden shaft. But that was mostly in Maddie Blake specials, I believe. We didn't really see much of it on the show.
Yeah.
On the show, they never really talk about it. It's just there, and they never say anything about it.
Yeah, it's kind of odd, but yeah. And then in the Maddie Blake special, what I was saying is that Dan Henske was like, hey, you should, preserve the top of this shaft because it's Dan. He just walks somewhere and tells you where it is. And ta-da! And this was another one of those where he just did. I don't know. But it's my understanding that the garden shaft was a searcher shaft, but they didn't look much into it. I mean, they'll just presume definitely searcher shaft. But at the time, those searchers would have known potentially where the original money pit was. Reverse engineer.
Theoretically.
in theory.
In theory. All right. So then we move on to the C14 carbon samples
Yes.
of the wood found in K15.5.
Mhm.
So this didn't have anything definitive,
Mhm.
but if you look at it as a whole, it looked like it was sometime between 1640 and 1806, and that's kind of like a wide range,
Yeah.
but that's what it looks like, because that was about 70 to 80%
Mhm.
if you add up both of the sections together, because
Mhm.
48.1% that wood is likely from 1731 to 1806,
Mhm.
and 35.5% likely that it was 1640 to 1687.
Either way, the dates are great, but it is all kind of over the place.
Well, you don't want the wood to be 1806.
Well, no, of course not. But
Yeah.
I want. They probably also resent it out
Well, yeah.
to other.
And Craig does follow up saying he wants to get more samples
Mhm.
by following this tunnel to get more data, because
Yeah.
he's a data guy. Him and
Well,
Marty are the data dudes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have all types to make it work.
Yep. All right. So over to the Oak Island Interpretive Center
Mhm.
for some analysis, and we get to hang out really for the first time with our new archaeologist friend, Emma Culligan.
But it's now the lab. It's like you can see they pushed aside and kind of.
So it's the Oak Island Interpretive Lab.
No, it's just a lab.
Okay.
It's for all the mad scientists to do their things. It looks like, they were all set up in there with all their scanners.
Yeah, but Interpretive Lab sounds like pretty fun.
I do like interpretive lab. We can go with that.
Yeah, so Rick, Gary, and Jack join Laird, and we are all introduced again to Emma.
Mhm.
Laird and Emma show the CT scan of the artifact found on Lot 7 by Gary and Jack. So this is that little square thing that looked like it could be a coin.
Yes.
To at least
At
Gary's
least to Gary.
twin optical scanners.
Yes.
All right. Emma showed the XRF analysis of the artifact. It's mainly copper and has a high tin content. And it's made out of, so that makes it bronze.
Yes.
It has also a really high arsenic content, and that makes it an
arsenical
bronze, and that really stands out.
Yes.
Sorry. Woo. Yeah, and so that stands out. So this kind of metal, Emma lets us know, has been phased out because it's unhealthy to make.
Yeah, it's kind of like same way Mad Hatters got their name.
Yeah, because of the mercury and the stuff. Yeah,
bad stuff. Arsenic.
Bad stuff to work with, yo. Yeah, and so this kind of metal was unhealthy to make, and it was phased out. Modern metals did not have it, or metals beginning after the 16th century don't have this kind of content anymore. So Jack asks, so they stopped making this in the 1500s?
Which blew his mind.
And Emma replied, yes. Gary says, that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Emma says that this one of this kind of metal was used in coins or swords or even statues, but is the shape that is really reminiscent of a coin. And so that got Gary's like stoked.
Yeah,
and
he looks so excited, like Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, but he was like, told you.
Yeah. Boom, baby. Yeah. And Jack was just like, what? And when they look at each other, you know that they're pretty proud of that find.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something to go along with what you've been you've been building a case, or you've been building a story with this interpretive center thing.
I've been building a story.
Well, okay, so maybe Laird is the caterpillar, and we have Emma as Alice. I don't know, because you've already.
I see, because the Cheshire Cat and
the Mad Hatter.
And the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, you brought up both of them in this section, so I'm like,
so it's like Alice in Wonderland in the interpretive.
Down the rabbit hole they go. I don't know. I'm just saying, or maybe Laird is like the White Rabbit. Yeah, there you go.
Laird's the White Rabbit.
Yeah.
Follow Laird.
Yeah. I wasn't going to call Gary and Jack Tweedledee and Tweedledum, okay? I wasn't going to do it. It crossed my mind, but then I wasn't going to do it. All right.
Oh, jeez.
Anywho.
Wow.
Yeah. So Rick comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't have anything to do with Alice in Wonderland, but he's
No.
just maybe he's the White Rabbit. No. All right. So he's very excited about this, and he wants to immediately call his brother, who's like the Queen of Hearts. He's like off with their heads, if they're not
Oh,
getting
I was
back
like,
to work.
why is he the Queen of Hearts?
Oh, because off with their
Yeah,
heads.
off with
Like,
their
get
heads.
back to work.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
Okay,
fair.
my bad. I'm gonna get
King of
out.
Hearts.
Okay, I need to stop.
Okay.
Marty was really excited about this find, and he said that they found the poison. Now go find the treasure.
It's like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, pretty good. So Marty and Rick, they send Jack back out there to find, that's off
They're
with their head.
vanished out to the lots to go find some more.
Go find some more stuff. But they do thank Laird and Emma and all that good stuff. Then guess where we're going?
To the war room.
Back down the rabbit hole to the war room we go.
It's like, yeah.
So we have another video conference, but it's not Marty this time.
Nope.
Because Marty is actually in the war room with Rick, Craig, Paul, Dr. Spooner, Steve, Scott, Doug, and Billy. Wow, it's a full war room.
Yeah, it really is.
And they have a video conference in hydrogeologist Dr. Fred Michael. And I guess this is one of Dr. Spooner's buddies.
Yeah, apparently Dr. Spooner's worked with him plenty.
Yeah.
I trust too. Dr. Spooner sounds
It's
alright.
it's like a tight circle there with like people like Spooner. Then he was brought in by oh yeah girl.
Oh, by Aaron.
By Dr. Aaron
Well,
Taylor.
No, Aaron was brought in
by Spooner.
By Spooner.
Oh well, it's this tight group of little friends.
It is.
Like, hey, you want to get on this TV show? I think you have some expertise. We get you on.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Spooner's given a presentation on the water sample process and with Dr. Fred Michael. So he introduces Fred and or Dr. Michael. Sorry, they work hard for those titles. You got to honor them, right?
Well, yeah, at least have to ask them what they prefer.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always say Dr. Aaron Taylor. Dr. Spooner.
I call him Aaron. We're on a first name basis.
Whoa, lucky you. Oh yeah, girl. All right, we don't have our button set up, or else I press it.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna get him set up. Don't worry. All right. So he asked him to give him a background on himself, and he works with the physical ground flow of water, looking for elements such as lead or zinc or copper or even gold in large areas. So he is a prime guy to put in there and get his expertise.
Yep. I trust him.
All right. So Spooner says that they sampled wells within the money pit, and they have chemistry back from it. The samples from the garden shaft are headed south, and the flow of water generally is north to south at the site. Spooner says that they found gold in the garden shaft, and they say that it's the most intriguing area right now.
And he says it with like that smile where it's like, yeah, it's there. Like something's there still depositing in the water.
Well, this gets Marty excited. He literally says at this point, this water analysis stuff is like the best thing they have going in terms of finding a deposit of treasure, because he's a data guy. He's scientific. A lot of people, I know that like Rick is very, data driven too, but he has a lot more like, hope and just like, but that the hope isn't enough for like someone like Marty. He needs that data.
He needs, irrefutable evidence.
Yeah.
Proof. He's just that type of person.
Sure.
So give him the proof. Proof is in the pudding.
That's what Dr. Spooner and Dr. Michael are working on. So Spooner says that it may just take weeks to get this data that is required to trace the flows with the elements they're looking for. And Marty's really excited about that and says this is basically one of the most exciting things they got going on this year as far as he's concerned. So good stuff. Then we have a quick trip back to the money pit. It's literally blink and you'll miss it.
Right. And Terry and Charles supervising the drilling of borehole DN 12.5, approximately 20 feet west of the garden shaft.
Yeah. And literally that's it. That's all it tells us. And then we blink and then we're back in the war room.
And we have Rick, Marty, Craig, Doug, Jack, Scott, Billy, and Charles, who are video conferencing with one of our favorite people, Gretchen Cornwall.
Yay, Gretchen. Glad to have her back in the war room, and she was excited to be there. So they welcome her. Gretchen says that she is always on the lookout for information that
Mhm.
would suggest that the Knights Templar may have made their way to Nova Scotia.
Mhm.
And so that's why she's there.
Yep.
And during her presentation, she says that there's a cave in the UK that has Templar carvings all over it, and that she believes that they point to Oak Island. This is called Royston Cave.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look that up yet.
Yeah, I saw someone post in one of the Facebook groups, like they were like literally making, I don't know if they're making a joke or maybe they're criticizing, but they're like, well, they could, instead of going to this cave, you can, there's literally like a 3D, what are those called when you,
Like a virtual
tour. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
there you go. That's it. There's like literally a virtual tour of this. Like you could just, and it took him 30 seconds to find on Google, you know? But I don't know if he was probably joking. But,
Yeah, but also, so I'd like to point out, it is very different being somewhere in person, right? So, like, even when I was able to go to Nova Scotia, being able to get my bearings on how far something might actually be, or what it actually means, or
Mhm.
where blue clay is, or all that fun stuff. But kind of like, we've worked on theories for other treasure hunts,
Mhm.
and it's different when you get real boots on the ground.
Mhm.
Yeah, we could do a 3D tour anywhere, but you really don't have the perspective until you're in the place, smelling it, seeing it, touching it, and experiencing it as a culture as a whole.
Oh yeah, like you were saying, when I went to Chicago
Mm-hmm.
and I got to see the treasure grounds for The Secret,
Mm-hmm.
when you're standing there and you get to see everything, you're like, wow, literally the tallest building in the entire world is like right in front of the treasure site, and on the in the materials where you're trying to get the clues to find this treasure, there's like a tall castle, and it's like it made sense standing at the site, and I was like, it blew my mind because you don't get that unless you're standing there.
No, to
So
be
what
able
you're
to
saying.
physically go somewhere, I mean, it makes all the difference.
Because that is something I've never seen anybody mention before, because you got to be there.
Yeah, and I just bring that up because I did think it was gonna, like, I was like, why isn't she not really showing? But that's when she invited them to come and was kind of making the pitch that it would be worth it for you to experience this in person.
It's something, sometimes you have to be there to
Mhm.
really get it and take it all in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So props to Gretchen for doing that. That's great.
Yeah, it looked like we were gonna get that next week.
I
I
don't know.
thought I saw a preview that showed that,
It could be.
and
Yeah. So she says that they will recognize many of the carvings at this cave, the
Mhm.
Royston Cave, on Oak Island itself. Marty asks Gretchen if she genuinely believes that the carvings of Royston Cave have a direct correlation to Oak Island somehow, and Gretchen says, "Yes, I truly believe so." And so that's great. And she says because the iconography you can find on Oak Island can be found also at this cave.
Mhm.
Gretchen says that the carvings are religious and political at the cave, and they mark events. And she believes that the individuals that were there at the Royston Cave building it were aware of Oak Island, and that the cave proves the narrative that the Knights Templar came to the New World, and specifically to Oak Island, to protect their information and to their treasure, be it spendable or sacred or both, for the future. So, and then she invites him over, and we had Marty said, "I'm bringing Alex to this,"
Mm-hmm.
so it's pretty sweet.
I don't know if you wanted to.
Which one there, babe? I don't.
About the building.
Oh, Susan says the tallest building in the world is in Dubai. I know, but when The Secret was when it came out in 1982, the biggest building in the world was the Sears Tower in Chicago. That's what I meant. I should have
Definitely should have.
I should have clarified that.
People are gonna be like, really?
Yeah. So in Chicago,
now it's clarified.
Back in 1980, when this was the thing, Sears Tower was the largest building in the world, and it's literally bam right in front of you when you go to this treasure site. Anyway. So they thank Gretchen, and they're excited.
They're excited to go see.
Rick does chime in, and he's like, "Hey, Marty, when you're there, you should also meet with Paul Stewart while you're in England." And basically, Marty says, "So it is written." And
So it shall be done.
yeah, Rick replies, "So it shall be done." And that's the end of the episode. But it was a good season premiere.
It was a genuine like 2 hours of just the Curse of Oak Island. Plus we got an hour ahead of time. I feel like there was a lot of really good information, and they dove into the work right away. So that tells me we're going to get a lot of new stuff this year.
Yep. Yay. And this is like episode 1. There's probably 23 more after this if we have anything to go by last season.
Right.
So I'm stoked. Then we had the preview this season on the Curse of Oak Island.
All right. So we see a long reach excavator coming over the causeway.
Billy's favorite. Then we have Marty says that this is the year we're going to throw everything we got at the island.
Gary says, "Brilliant! We found a jewel on Oak Island." So it sounds like we got another Bobby Dazzler.
It sounds like it.
And we get a little picture of what looks like a blue gem.
Mm-hmm. So do you remember earlier when I said, I'm going to come back to this, but you're going to be impressed with my memory?
Yes.
So during this preview, we see somebody that's not usually on the show. Like he's only been on the show once before. Numismatist Sandy Campbell. It didn't even say his name. I was just like,
you remembered his name?
Yeah, I was like, that's Sandy.
You remembered what a numismatist was?
I had to go and look that up.
Okay.
I had looked that part up, but I was able to look it up because I remembered his name.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So
nicely done.
Sandy Campbell is back, and he tells Gary and Jack that some kind of artifact they had found or that they were showing him was Roman. And that's when Gary says,
"Roman, baby." No,
no. He says, "Boom,
oh, boom, baby."
That's the boom, baby.
I wasn't looking at the notes, but I always just go with Roman, baby.
That's the boom, baby.
Boom, baby.
Yeah. And so Gretchen Cornwall welcomes Marty, Alex, and Charles to England and takes them inside Royston Cave. And she calls the room that they're in a secret Templar chamber commemorating the voyage to Oak Island. And Marty's like, wow.
And if you can impress Marty, that's saying something.
He's not easily excitable, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree. He's not easily excitable.
Well, unless you got something impressive in front
right?
of him. Rick says they've got state-of-the-art equipment and methods to employ this season. We see Peter using a machine. What was that?
It looked like the same ground penetrating radar that they used last year, and they were looking at that square depression in the ground on lot 8.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called though. But
I don't.
Yeah, but they're looking at that, and Jack points at the display, and he can be heard saying, "That might be the hatch." So Jack's excited.
Jack's all about the hatch.
Well, he's always excited.
He's an excitable person.
Yeah. Let's see, where were we at? Oh, and then we see Rick, Laird, and Doug checking out the well that was on the Maddie Blake special with Terry DeVoe. So it was cool to see Terry back on the island.
Yes, of course.
In the war room, Dr. Spooner says that the construction of whatever they're looking for at that point, because we don't know what it was, he said it dated from 1028 to 1172. And that's where Gary exclaimed,
"Boom, baby."
Nope.
Where?
Right there.
Where am I?
Look right.
Templars, baby.
Golly.
I'm not paying attention.
You were backwards. That's okay. Choice Sonic Drilling is setting up at the garden shaft. And Mike Tedford says that his rod dropped 10 feet in there. Like there was nothing. And it's a void. Rick says, "Let's dig it up." Well, I'm thinking Rick, do you really want to dig that up? You worked so hard on making that garden memorial, but
I don't think he cares.
The gold's more important, obviously.
Clearly.
Showing the money pit, Rick says that they'll be digging underground at the money pit for the first time, and some piece of information is going to lead them to the Bravo Tango moment.
Bravo Tango!
They're stoked.
Maybe we'll see a gold dance.
At the very, very end, we see Billy using that long reach excavator at the money pit, and the preview ends with Marty saying,
"Treasure Island, baby."
That's it. That was all of the first episode.
Oh my gosh.
Boom.
Baby.
Yeah. So that was awesome. Thank you so much for everybody being here to listen to us chat about this exciting stuff from
go on
season
our
10.
Tangents, talk about the episode.
Oh my gosh. It was so good.
So
what?
So tomorrow we have pregame. Next Monday we are gonna do trivia for this episode.
Well, we're gonna do a recap before that.
Yes.
Recap at around noon Pacific, so that's 3 p.m. Eastern. And then at 3 p.m. Pacific, we'll be back to do trivia for an hour or so before our kids get home. So there you go. All right. So before we go,
Oh, what? Yes.
well, I was gonna
Oh,
tell
yes.
them one of the Oak Island trivia questions, so they're ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a number between 1 and 20.
16.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. Question number 16 for Oak Island trivia for next week. Okay. So you can get, like, I'm not going to tell the answer. I'm going to tell you the choices, because how we play Oak Island trivia is I read the question, then you're given like 50 seconds to answer, and it's multiple choice. So
Yes.
one of these answers will be correct. The other ones will be incorrect. Okay. And stuff you need to pay attention to. Like this is what I figured was one of the more tough trivia questions. So it's a good thing you're giving them a heads up on it. All right. Question number 16 is, when showing the XRF analysis of the artifact found on Lot 7 by Gary and Jack on the season premiere, which color was not represented in a rectangular box on the bottom of the display? Is it 1, green, 2, red, 3, blue, or 4, orange? Which color was not represented on that XRF display? That's something you need to go back and look at now, because that'll give you a leg up to get onto the
For
leaderboard.
sure.
And then you can win the golden gnome
Woo,
at the end of
woo.
the season. Whoever's at the top of that leaderboard is going to win. So there you go. Yeah, we got Trisha in the chat saying purple. That wasn't even an option, but it's pink.
Purple, I get it.
Yeah. So that is what we've got going. Be back here next week, tomorrow actually, for pregame, but also be back here for Oak Island trivia and Oak Island recaps next week.
We'll make sure to do a post on Facebook. I haven't been up on the Instagram, but I'll get something up there, and that way y'all know when we're going to be there.
Yep. And so where do they find us?
Find us on Facebook at Oak Island Podcast, Instagram at Oak Island Podcast, Twitter at Oak Island Pod.
Yeah, I hear Twitter's, there's like stuff happening on Twitter. They might be supporting video soon, so we might be streaming there pretty soon as well.
Mm-hmm. You can also email us, oakislandpodcast@gmail.com, and our website is oakislandpodcast.com.
Yes.
It needs updating. But
and we have like a Oak Island podcast hotline, and it expired. So we have to get a new phone number, because nobody called us for so long, and we didn't bother to save it because we it was a long off season. We forgot. So we will get a new Oak Island hotline number, and we'll let you know next week.
Yeah.
One final thing. So if you'd like to show us some support, we do have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Oak Island Podcast. We have had one new patron in the recent, I think it was actually last week at our Oak Island pregame. We had Janie show up and give us some support. So thank you so much for your support, Janie. You can be just like Janie and go to patreon.com/Oak Island Podcast and show us some love, because we do it all for free, but if you want to contribute monetarily,
absolutely,
you're going to be in our heart
we
forever.
do love mystery mail. We do share that on trivia night or on pregame night. I just saw Susan put it in.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
In the chat, our address, if we'll open what you send us.
Yeah, we do that on pregame usually. Yep. And so our podcast listeners can't see this, so I'm going to read it out loud. If you want to send us mystery mail, it's 15640 Northeast 4th Plain Boulevard, Suite 106, box number 411, Vancouver, Washington 98682. And you can send us something, and we'll open it up on our live stream pregame, and everybody says, "Yay, cool, yay. Awesome!"
Everybody loves doing that, and then
it is fun.
It's also on our website, the address, and you can find it on Facebook and all that.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, until next time.
Could it be? Bye.